Hello, welcome to the Citrus Garden. If you're new here, my name is Christina. If you're not new here, hi, welcome back. It's great to see you. This is a reading for Scorpio rising, or if you have significant Scorpio placements in your chart and are needing a neutral energy to help harmonize masculine and feminine energies within yourself, then this reading is for you. So Scorpio, let's get started here. This is actually my second time trying to record this. I pulled cards. I did the message. I was ready to go upload the reading, but something just didn't feel right about that one. So I put all the cards away. I reshuffled. I'm using the same decks, and I pulled new cards. And so some of the same cards did come out, which is confirming to me that like it's a similar message, just like worded slightly differently, and that there was something that I was meant to say that I did not say, and so it's coming out in this reading. So this is the first card. I just pulled this as sort of like an overall sort of theme for this reading, the overall context, if you will. Wild animals, which is why I'm re-recording this video for you, Scorpio, because I was meant to tell a story of something that happened yesterday. I was supposed to do a reading yesterday, but this thing happened. Which is kind of feeling like maybe something similar is happening to you, where you're getting sort of like an eye-opening experience, or because the first card you have out is the Passion card with the soul, but it's like an eye-opening experience. And also the bottom of the deck was the inner core solidity. So I sometimes see this card as being like having some sort of experience that drastically changes your perspective on something. It kind of feels like you're getting closure about something, Scorpio. So the wild animals card, this thing that happened yesterday, it was so strange. I was just sitting in my room doing things, and I heard like a strange growling noise, and the sound of like the backyard side gate rattling and with the growling, and I obviously that was very alarming. So I didn't go outside because I was worried. I didn't know what it was. And a couple of minutes later, a neighbor knocks on the door, and he tells us that just a content warning, like a deer had been killed on the side of our house between my house and the neighbors. They assumed it was a coyote that had killed this deer. It had gotten like sort of trapped in our gate, trying to escape this attack. And later on, as sort of more witnesses came forward, like we figured out that it wasn't a coyote. It was actually a husky, somebody's pet, that had been walking off leash in the park across the street. So the whole event was that this husky that was off leash saw a deer. They ran across 4 lanes of traffic. There was honking, stopping traffic and all that. And the husky chased this deer into the side sort of between house area. And so animal services was called, all of that. And I feel there's something that I was just thinking about as that happened. Because in some way it was showing me something, helping me to process something about like it almost would have made more sense to me, this event, if it was a wild coyote, right? Because it's kind of like the coyote was just doing like getting his food, right? It could have been interpreted that way. The reason why it made no sense to me was that this was a quote unquote domesticated animal, that has food, that has sustenance, that has all of the things that it needs. And there was still sort of an instinct, right? The sort of like wildness that came out. Anyways, it it also just didn't make sense to me because it was something that like could have easily been avoided, right? But it's kind of like, anyway, so that was the story for you about this card. For me, that was kind of just representing sort of like spirit trying to help me get closure about some, like an event. Understanding perhaps why it happened, even though it wasn't necessarily something that I would think made any sense. But anyways, so that's the overall context for you, Scorpio. I know that that's kind of like a gory image, but this is a Scorpio reading. I feel like you wouldn't shy away from that. So the first card out here you have is the Soul, Passion. So it is coming through with sort of like an eye-opening experience. Or seeing something clearly. It's also coming through with this, like, I always see like the waterfalls here, right? Like, perhaps needing to release something emotionally that's been affecting you. It's kind of, especially with these two cards here, you have here the World and the Daughter of Pentacles, which is talking about closure. This is why this card came out in the first version of this reading as well. So it is really wanting to talk about this. It is kind of coming through as hope though today, because even though there may have been sort of like a an ending, an uncomfortable ending in some way, Scorpio, it's trying to give you like closure and hope about what's ahead for you. It could also be like it's showing you some sort of new path as well with the Soul, Passion. Like, because you've gotten closure about something, you're now moving forward into the next part, or like you're given something new to work with, because it's as well with the World here, right? There's also the world within the eye. Understanding cycles and how it works, and just like the natural course of nature being sort of endings and new beginnings. I know that's so like, like why is the message coming through so strongly like that? It's because it is. It's like, is there maybe something, Scorpio? Is there maybe something that you're not wanting to let go of, or that there's something that you're not wanting to look at as well, because it's kind of like uncomfortable is a mild word for it, right? But it's kind of like there's something that you're perhaps not wanting to look at because it's uncomfortable, so to speak, or because it's like perhaps sad. Perhaps it would just be a really sad thing to look at, right? Like you don't want to see the sadness maybe, or the whatever it is, especially because the next card coming out here is the Eight of Cups. And this one to me talks about like a period of ill health, or just like it kind of comes through as being like walking on eggshells, or like being very cautious, or like perhaps even holding yourself back in some way. Like there may be like some area of your life where you actually perhaps have been constrained in some way, like like stuck in a corner, or like that kind of thing. When it's like but the Ace of Swords coming out next, there may be a deeper sort of truth that maybe you're not wanting to look at, that would actually benefit you to look at, but it does require a bit of like having to see something that's really sad, or having to clean up something that's like kind of uncomfortable, or it's kind of feeling like there's like maybe something that could have been avoided, but maybe there was kind of an energy here of like there was somebody or something like that, where it was like a period of ill health, so people were not at their best, maybe, or something like that. But anyways, so what you have above here is this life breath card, right? Above these two. So it's kind of like being freed from whatever sort of constraint that there was, right? It's like there's a freedom kind of energy coming through here, like hope, like seeing the light, moving towards something that is truthful and authentic and that kind of thing. Because you do have these cards underneath this, the Dolphin, the Sun, and the Justice card. So this Dolphin card came out in the first part of the reading as well, which talks actually about joy, right? It's also talking about healing today, because in the first version of this reading, it was talking about sort of like a period of solitude, kind of in like a desert energy where there wasn't a lot of resources or abundance. It was kind of like a dry, quote unquote, landscape. And the message in that reading was that there was a bunch of abundance, like a ton of water was the element that was coming in to bring more abundance into a situation, right? So more water, more life. And so that's what's coming in here. Today, this Dolphin is coming through with like healing. So perhaps getting closure or healing about a situation that's ending or that has ended. And it's also coming through with a blessing, right? So it could be something like, so it could be that it's kind of like this ending is a blessing in some way. So it could be kind of like a mixed blessing, like you're getting closure about a difficult situation, but that brings about healing or like a freedom from suffering, that kind of thing. And with the Sun and the Justice, right? It's kind of like all of this sunlight is coming back in. It's like you have water and sunlight now, which is sort of enough to start growing things. So it's kind of coming through like that, where it's like you're getting, perhaps there's some closure, or just like with the Eight of Cups here, it's just like cleaning up some sort of mess that was left behind. Or just cleaning up some sort of like mess, or getting rid of something that's no longer satisfying, or like whatever that is, like moving away from this energy into something that's more life-giving, that gives you life. And with the Justice card coming out next, this one talks about like a significant choice, that once you make this choice, it's like all of this sunlight comes in, all of this like creation comes in. I feel like there's also, because you have here next the creation water, right? So again, a lot of water is coming in to heal a certain situation, right? Like cleaning something away that has been perhaps causing, I don't want to necessarily call this ill health. It may present in other ways as well, like something that's just not satisfying in whatever way. It's like clearing out whatever is not satisfying, like it. And it's kind of like with all of this, if you've watched the Mad Max movie, the most recent one, I know there's another one coming out, but the one that was with, I think it's called Fury Road, where like the end of that scene is like just all of this water being released, and it, for the people, because it's kind of like the landscape that they were living in was very dry, and the water was almost being like hoarded as a resource, right? So it's kind of like what I'm seeing here is that all of this water is being released, and it's causing like a flooding kind of energy, right? Like all of this like flooding in a way that is a positive thing. It's kind of like, because it's, imagine like all of this dry earth that's being rehydrated so that it can sustain growth. So that's what I'm seeing here in this part of the reading. And you have here the Swan, which I love so much, because it does talk about sort of like, it's coming through with like effortless creation, right? It's like creation in whatever way that is for you. is effortless. Like it happens so easily because there's so much abundance, so much resources, so much to sort of so much resource to be used is kind of how it's coming through as well. And it's like you may already be starting to see the signs of it here with this, because I'm seeing this as like kind of like the foliage that's kind of dead, right? Like the dead foliage. Because there isn't enough water, perhaps, but it's kind of like you're starting to see the signs of it, maybe because of like the little insects that are starting to come back into your environment. It's like after sort of like a forest fire, for example, after all of that, all of the, I don't know, was there destruction? Maybe, perhaps, with the Eight of Cups, right? Because it could be, this sometimes does come in with the energy of like a destructive energy, something that's like destructive. But it's kind of like the water comes in to almost like rehydrate or bring more life back into that environment. And like you may be seeing sort of like signs of life returning is how that's feeling. And you have the Fool underneath that Swan energy. With the Swan as well, it was coming through, especially in the first part of this reading, where it was like there was a significant collaboration, like a Three of Pentacles kind of energy, where it's like working together with another or with others in general in order to solve a big problem. I feel like maybe that's what you're working towards. Like maybe you're getting closure about something with the help of other people, or a new direction is becoming clear to you, or new beginning is becoming clear to you with the help of other people. People that reflect you here with the Swan. Why does the Swan always come with reflection? It could be something to do with like your creations reflecting you. There's a lot of things in these two readings about creation today. I might actually post both readings now. I'm not sure. I'll think about it. But it's kind of like, it's coming through as being like, your creations might be reflecting something back to you in a way that's much more positive now, because you've released something that perhaps was holding you back. Because the next card here is the Darkness Moon. And it was talking to me about like, there may be a reluctance on somebody's part, whoever this is for. It could be you or could be somebody else within this collaboration, where there's like somebody who is maybe in sort of like a darkness energy where they're holding back on something that perhaps needs to be shared, is kind of how it's coming through, where it's like, in the first part of the reading, it was coming through as being sort of like an oyster energy, right? Like not wanting to share something, perhaps being a bit shy to share it, because of whatever reason, right? It was coming through as being like somebody not feeling like what they had to share was enough. It was coming through as being sort of like somebody's like feeling like what they have to offer is not enough, or something like that. I feel like that's sort of what's shifting or being purified here, because the next couple of cards you have here, the Four of Cups and the Seven of Wands. The Four of Cups, to me, it's a bit of a tricky energy. It kind of comes through as being sort of like, it's more of like a Four of Pentacles kind of energy, generally from this deck, like holding on to things. Like not wanting to share, or like not wanting to, like feeling like one doesn't have enough, and so they hold on to what they have. That's sort of the energy that comes through with this. It's also coming through with these cards, where it's like the Vulture, the Hummingbird, and the Nine of Swords. So what I actually see here is that, like, whoever this is talking about, it could be you, Scorpio, where it's like your energy, or whoever this is, whoever it is that I'm talking about in this section, is actually this hummingbird energy, which knows exactly where to find goodness and the nectar, the sweetness, knows where to find sustenance and nourishment. It is also a very creative energy as well, and it's very fast moving. And such a joy to be around the hummingbird. It always brings me such joy to see the hummingbird. But I feel like there's something here about, like, the hummingbird energy, whoever that is, needs to go through some sort of purification process about, like, this Four of Cups energy of, like, they're holding on to, like, it's kind of like somebody who knows where all the nectar is but doesn't want to share it with anyone, doesn't want to tell anyone else where to find the nectar, because of some sort of Nine of Swords, where it's kind of like there's anxiety or discomfort. It's like you don't want to look at the sadness that's right next door, like that kind of thing. Like there's someone here who's not wanting to do that, is kind of how it's coming through. Like, anyways. That's interesting. Okay. Anyways, the last set of cards, you have here the Richness Marine Life. So this was the main, the central card in the last reading, which was talking about all of this water coming in, because it was coming through as being like going from the desert, which is sort of like a dry landscape, into all of this water, a richness energy, tons of abundance, tons of resources to use, tons of things happening, tons of like creational energy to use is what this is coming through with. So it's kind of like there is somebody here who has something to share, whatever that is, and in that sharing, it provides like tons of resources for everybody, is how this is feeling. And you have here the unicorn and the star, right? So the unicorn did come out in the last reading as well. This is the third eye, where you have the intuition, and because it's coming out with the star, it's like knowing which direction to go in. I feel like there is somebody here who knows which direction to go in, which is interesting. Like, has a lot of direction, and like can sort of navigate through this energy, because this energy can be sort of overwhelming. It's kind of like, whenever I see this card, it's kind of just like there's so much energy to sort through. Like making your way through busy traffic can feel like this, an abundance of energy. And so it's like there's somebody who is coming through as being like a navigator, or like can see the way, or like knows which direction to go towards, or something like that, right? It's coming through with this as well. The Three of Wands, which is a card about vision and waiting for your manifestations to come in. But today it's just specifically talking about vision with these two cards. And I feel like here, with the last couple of cards coming out next, the Eight of Wands, the Eight of Swords, and the Black Egg, where I feel like so Eight of Wands always talks about a very quick change, right? Manifestation coming in, a sudden shift, that kind of thing. But with the Eight of Swords, it's emphasizing again sort of the energy of like somebody's like not wanting to spread their wings in some way, or is having trouble perhaps because there's an abundance of energy where it's like perhaps they don't have enough space to expand, or that's how they're feeling anyway, where it's like there's not enough space for them to open their wings, or something like that. It's feeling kind of like space, or feeling confined, or like stuck. It is a stuckness kind of feeling from the environment, that's like feeling like somebody's feeling stuck in their environment, or that they can't move as freely as they wish. But with the black egg here, this is the throat chakra. It is talking about expression, like sharing that with somebody. Like, especially if this is a collaboration, it's like there's an energy here of like telling the group about this stuckness or the overwhelm or some sort of thing that you're dealing with that's difficult or challenging or uncomfortable in some way. It actually helps to free it or to provide space, or perhaps even holding space for somebody who's going through that kind of energy. Anyway, Scorpio, I'm going to leave it there. I hope this resonated with you. If it did, please like, subscribe, or leave a comment down below. It helps so much. Thank you for sharing your energy with me, and I hope you have a great day. Bye.